Good morning. So, all of the rain came when it was really dark outside. So, what we're going to try and do is piece together what was especially difficult for my overflow system last night from the signs of water that have come through, also known as dirt getting pushed around and little puddles being around. So, here we have the overflow point that in a short-ish video I showed yesterday. This is my secondary overflow to the pond that, just to reiterate, has overflow from that rain barrel. It also has some siphon action because when that hose ends up below water, it siphons down to the lower midpoint. I keep lifting it up, but I think during the testing point I'm going to go ahead and let it down. For whatever reason, when the water gets to flowing, that hose tends to scooch its way farther and farther into the pond. But that's neither here nor there at the moment. What we're looking at is two outcomes. So you remember I pushed some fluff aside to try and show you how it was going in here. And I attempted yesterday to show you that there was this conduit down inside here. Right? But what wasn't, and I've been weeding, so the green is fresh on top just this morning, and then I went, oh, wait a second. So what wasn't super like this yesterday was as much of this dampness and as much of, do you see the kind of scruff getting pushed around, right? And we have this regraded well enough that it continues this way now, at least. So it's not full on rushing the porch, which is really nice because the porch is actually kind of dry and then the water goes down into the garden further. But ideally, we'd have a much more dry walkway here. And so that means that, and I think at least some of it here has been, I probably shouldn't have moved all of this first, because that was some of the telltale signs of what was going on. Whoops. It's like disturbing a crime scene or something, right? So some of that hose that's over there is actually buried in the walkway. But you can kind of see this etched along here and then went that way. It also came in under here and came up that way. So I might need to do more to keep this area really open for the water flow to come through. Well, not might. I definitely need to do more. The might part is I might not know what to do more, but I'm going to try and figure it out. I have a big chunk of bamboo that I took the breaker points out from. It's on the porch over here. And I used the conduit to bust the those cross bits that keep the water from flowing the whole way through. But you want the rest of the tour? It's a wild jungle out here because it's mid-August just about. It's the 13th today. So, oh, did you notice too that I decided to recoppice the ash tree? Ash tree number 1, it'll grow back. And then ash tree number 2 here, I want to do that too. And I also want to go after some of this and get my view cleaned up a little bit, but prioritizing, one step at a time. So, decided to use some of the leaf litter, hopefully as a bit of a, like, weed suppressant. Hopefully it doesn't end up encouraging the weeds. It seems like it should smother it here. Then, I did also want to note that, like, you can see there's some points where like a decent amount of water did come through over here. I don't know how much of the rushed water there is from me completely draining that rain barrel a couple days ago. It was stinky. Like, you know, sometimes the water gets murky at the bottom, so I figured I'd empty it out with the rain coming soon. But like here, there's signs of water rushing through too. And that would be from the pond side. Probably really recently. Also, I did plant a wild hog peanut here, and it's taking, which is very exciting. Love to see it. Got these bastards everywhere. They're very boinky. They're really hard to kill at this life stage. The ones that were good at getting away as children are the ones that successfully grew up. So we have wheel bugs moved in, and I have to be really careful which bugs I'm seeing before I squish, because wheel bugs can really mess you up if they bite. So, but the wheel bugs should be able to help eat the lantern flies. Basically, I've kept the fight kind of balanced by squishing them while they were young. And with the garden being the way that it is, it helps give housing and care to a whole lot of predator bugs too. That's Concord grape. It has so many lantern flies, but honestly when I reach in there they just get away, so I don't know what to do at this point. But there's a couple of grapes down. Can you see them? Down in there too. But yeah, this one's, I've definitely noticed the wheel bugs in here. There's also June bugs. The grape I'm actually kind of considering just going through and spraying it. I do want to point out, it's okay, I got one of these Miyoga gingers off for a friend, but I want to show how robust this Miyoga ginger patch is. Like, I gotta start remembering to use it like a lot, because I gotta start ripping things out. Something got stuck in my shoe. There we go. Okay, so you see there? Let's go closer, because on camera it's harder to point out what it is than it is in person. So this was one little plant that survived the winter. 1 out of 3 survived the winter. And look at it now, huh? It's a beast. It's gonna take over if I let it. So I really do need to start pulling, well, I'm gonna need a shovel, digging for edible parts. I planted some sea kale seeds. I think they might be doing okay. The purple leaf plum that's self-seeded in my garden, and then I just transplanted while it was really young, seems to be doing pretty good. I need to do a lot of trimming on it in hopes that it'll maybe not succumb to as many fungal issues as the other plum did. But the fact that it's self-seeded here is promising, I think. It's promising that it could have fruit. And I have seen neighbors with, like, this as a decorative tree, but I don't know. We'll see. Is this bone set? I didn't realize it was this tall. I mean, okay, I'm adding like 2 feet to it by having planted it in a retainer wall, but I didn't remember it being that tall. I thought it was shorter. So they're happy. There's 2. 1, 2. So far this plum tree isn't fully succumbing to rot again, but not sure what to do about that. The cherry tree is doing its annual late season dropping of the leaves. I I don't seem to be able to avoid. If I add a lot of nitrogen, it's less. It does that less. It seems to want so much nitrogen. This mulberry, the Illinois mulberry, is now getting too much sun. So I think I need to co-plant it with something else. I am starting to see, that's not a monarch, but that butterfly reminds me that I am starting to see monarchs. And there are, as long as they didn't go anywhere, let's go see. Yep, little bitty figs. Look at them. I moved the fig because I wanted it to root through the bottom of the pot during the summertime instead of be in the pot, because it just was drying out so fast. And this will also help me remember to water it, because this is where I usually fill the watering can. And then I do a good job of watering what's right here and never forgetting, only because like I can just put the hose in any given pot to like finish its dribbling, as it were. So yeah, I did put a little strawberry down in there. I don't know, I got stuck on the branch of the asparagus, but I'm not so sure that strawberries and asparagus really do go together, because most cases I've seen the asparagus die. But also I think a lot of people end up with female asparagus or don't know how to take care of their asparagus. I've heard so many people say that their asparagus didn't live very long. And this was like the third plant I planted here, and I'm coming up on 20 years. So it's doing really well. I planted 5, I now have 3. The females died. The males stayed. So you just have to get ones that have males and really research how they're supposed to be planted. You'll notice that I've left a lot of pods on the milkweed. I'm strongly considering seeing if I can experiment with some fiber work. And by that I mean like all that fluff that's inside is a historic textile input. It's used a little bit like, I guess, a little bit like silk. I don't know. Where you just can twist it into string. So I wanted to play around with it, and at worst, I'll just have some fluff and I can burn it, you know. If it doesn't work, then it's burnable. Ooh, I keep getting poked. I'm not used to wearing sandals right now. And that's these sandals, at least, they're picking up the pokey things off the walkway, and my ankles are feeling sensitive about it. The apple, I keep spraying it with copper stuff, but you can see it's still doing the same thing it did yesterday. But or not yesterday, last year. That's a big difference. But you can see that it is getting farther along with its apples than it did last year. Last year it dropped all of its apples from scab really early, and they were all super deformed. So I got more copper spray. It's organic, and I'll hit this tree again so that I have hope of apples, because it's a good fruit set. It's just not being disease resistant, you know. I bought neem spray and literally immediately lost it. So by the way, in my videos, if you see a white jug that says neem on it as I'm wandering around the garden, this is supposed to be a walkway. I gotta do some trimming here. If you see a white jug of neem somewhere, let me know. Like, give me a timestamp. Because I've been looking, and it's really annoying me, because the jug was pretty well full. And I don't know what I did. Hopefully I'll find it in the winter or something like that. But, anyhow. That's the garden today. Once these are done blooming and go to seed, the pink, that's Joe Pye weed. I want to cut them down to the ground, and I want to dig this one fully out because it's right in front of this porch. I'd have more motivation to not, oh, I just like burped and tried to keep talking at the same time. Sorry for that. I'd have more motivation to like try and keep up with my porch if I could like sit out of the rain and like look again, because that was really nice when I could. But I let the milkweed and stuff kind of take over this section. So next year I think I will maybe put boxes through a lot of this area to kind of move these friends to other zones. They are, in fact, I can show you, they send out like roots, like runners, and then every now and again they send like a taproot down. So it's like runner, taproot, and a branch. Runner, taproot, and a branch. So if I, over the winter, cover all of this zone, the milkweed will just pop up other places. It's fine. So I also have been able to, you know, like by plucking it regularly, keep some of the areas a lot more like this. Watch. Like this. So all through here it would be growing like that too, but every now and again I do that. So if I did that, and you can see it's coming up in the fire pit, but me having fires is what keeps those down. If I did that at a larger scale, or repeatedly put boxes down all throughout here, like all throughout, then I could keep these a little bit more off to the side where they are anyway. See, they're right here, and I would keep all of this. Also, reminder, quote-unquote orange aphids. They're not orange aphids. They're milkweed beetles. They're part of the milkweed ecology. Don't kill them, please. They're native and they're supposed to be here. They don't hurt anything. They just hang out. They're kind of pretty, but they start off looking like orange aphids, and they belong there. It's okay. Yeah. So that's the cliffside. There is a stairwell, and there's 2 terrace tiers down there. Every time I go down, I end up with ticks on me, so you haven't been seeing it very much because of that. If I can find that neem, or if I get neem concentrate and put it in my sprayer, then maybe I could start to get down there more often. That would be really nice. Would be really nice, but I've not been down there much at all just because I don't like ticks on me. I don't like them at all, but especially on me. So anyway, thank you so much for visiting the cliffside. This has been permaculture. And native plants everywhere. Take care. Bye.